Here, we're going to walk through an example of a meeting outline. This is one I've used with quite a few of my clients, and I find it's a good way of getting into one sheet of paper in one place the requirements for our meetings. The first section we want to go over is the objectives. Here in this section, we should outline what the objective of our meeting is. Next, we'd scroll down and fill out the agenda. Then I'd go back and look at the logistics, who the attendee should be, update the meeting ground rules, specify documents to be reviewed ahead of the meeting, and documents to be reviewed after the meeting. Okay, let us try and populate this template. So first, the name of the meeting. So I'm going to pick the weekly health and safety review. The objective of the meeting, well, for this meeting, let's suppose we want to see how we performed last week in our safety activities and understand where there are any gaps in which departments. So it would be to could even number them. So understand the performance of the previous week. We also want to identify any issues and ensure the right mitigations are in place. We also want to escalate risks to the health and safety manager. All right. So those are the objectives. This is the objective of the meeting. Now let's look at what our agenda could be. So maybe in this company they start with a health and safety tip. And that may be the company policy, or someone shares that. The next thing they could decide to do is we want to review the actions that were outstanding from the previous meeting. So review outstanding actions. And I'll talk more about action tracking when we get into the next segment on how we run an effective meeting. So once we reviewed our outstanding actions, it's first, if there is a health and safety report, this would be a good time to review the health and safety report. And this might be a KPI report, so I'll put KPI dashboard. Then we'd want to, as a sub point, after reviewing the health and safety report, we might want to kind of escalate issues and risks. There may be an opportunity to give a management team update. The HSC manager may have some information from the senior team he'd like to cascade down to his team. At that point, we would review any new actions raised in the meeting. And we really close the meeting. You could decide to have an AOB. I'm not a huge fan of AOBs, but that may be your preference for this meeting. We have our agenda defined. We don't have any times allotted to each of the segments. You may decide to put some timing in your agenda. You may not decide to do that. I think, as a rule of thumb, if you're starting out, it's useful to have some timings by each of the points. So that gives you an idea of how you want to manage your time. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. So for the health and safety tip, we're going to make that 5 minutes. And I should stop and let you know that I'm already working with a framework that this meeting is only going to be an hour. So we have a review of outstanding actions. this could take 10 minutes. Then we want to have a review of the health and safety report and the KPI dashboard. I need a little bit more time for this review. So I'm thinking 15 minutes. So now we've used 30 minutes of this 1 hour slot. Escalation of risks and issues. So in the review of the health and safety report, I'd expect some issues and risks to come out of that. But this next agenda item would be for any kind of risks or issues that the KPI report for some reason hasn't generated. So this may only take 5 minutes. Now we're up to 40 minutes. Sorry, we're up to 35 minutes. The manager update, any cascades from the senior team, we give that another 10 minutes. And another 5 minutes for reviewing new actions that came out of the meeting. So this takes us now to a total of 50 minutes for this meeting. And I'm actually happy as a rule to have a 1 hour meeting be between 45 and 50 minutes, because people actually do need time to move on to another meeting, especially if they're booked back to back. So there's very little benefit in ending a meeting at 9 if you have another meeting starting exactly at 9. Now, these times can be and should be adjusted as you begin to run your meeting, but it's always good practice to start out. Of course, these timings should be reviewed as you begin to work your meeting. So after 3 months of running the same meeting, I really wouldn't expect your agenda to be 100% the same as when you started, and I don't expect your timing to be the same either. You'll learn through reality what actually makes the most sense for the flow of your meeting. But it's really good to start off with something, so you have something against which to measure your performance and your progress at managing your meetings. The key thing is that you don't overrun the duration. So for that 1 hour meeting, you need to make sure your team are out in ample time to be at their next appointment. And that next appointment may be back at the shop floor, supporting, mentoring, and supervising their teams. So with the agenda done, I'm going to jump up now and do some of the logistics. So the duration of this meeting, well, like I said, it's going to be an hour, but since I've actually planned my agenda for 50 minutes, I'm going to put in 50 minutes. The time, it's at 8 a.m. And the dates, it's every Monday. So I'll put Mondays. If there's a specific date, I could put in the 13th June 2017. But I'm setting this up as a recurring meeting, so I will just put Mondays. And the venue, let's say the large meeting room. Now, who will the chair of this meeting be? So we're gonna pick a name. Sandy Swantek, and her Sandy scribe is gonna be Peter Jones, and required attendees would be Amy J, Paul R. So you can actually put the names of the people in for this. Another alternative would be to put in their positions, especially if Sandy is the health and safety manager. Then really when she moves away into a new role or resigns or wins the lottery, the new health and safety manager should take on that meeting. So what I like to do is I put in brackets the role, safety manager. Now, you may decide to actually put Sandy's name in brackets and the title out. Those are minor things that I would say do whatever works best for you. Peter Jones, the scribe. Maybe he's the scribe for the month for June, as maybe Sandy's rotating the scribe role every month among her team. And the attendees would be her direct report. So I could also put in here in brackets the health and safety team. And HSE means health, safety, and environment. So I'll put the HSE team. Optional attendees could be, let's have Diana P, and she's the security manager. And there may be a reason for her to come in once a month or as needed to discuss on specific points. So we put her in there as the security manager. So the meeting ground rules. What are the ground rules for Sandy's meeting? Well, Sandy may want everyone to make sure they speak one at a time, review all required documents ahead of the meeting, and the actions to be issued 24 hours after the meeting or sooner. So these are the ground rules. I only have 3. You may want to have more or less than this. Now, what documents should be reviewed in this meeting? We've already mentioned there is a health and safety report, so that would be a document to be reviewed. There could also be a regional health and safety report. Also, we have an action log. So we would want to review the action log or action tracker before the meeting. We may also have an issue tracker, an issue and risk tracker, and that would be useful to review ahead of the meeting. And finally, what documents do we expect to be updated during the meeting? So at the end of this meeting, these documents will be modified in some capacity. Well, one would be the action tracker, because new actions will be generated and people may give updates of their existing actions that may need to modify what's currently on the action tracker. Also, the issue and risk register. And now we have a completed meeting outline. Now the meeting outline is pretty much good to go. So Sandy could start using this right away at her next health and safety review meeting. However, I would strongly recommend that Sandy take her team through this meeting outline ahead of that meeting. Or better still, she actually build this meeting outline together with her team. Now, by having them co-create it with her, she will get a much more robust and fit for purpose meeting outline than she would if she did it alone. There may be elements that she wouldn't have thought about because she's done it singularly. Also, by getting them involved in creating their meeting outline, you're promoting ownership and accountability. And with that joint ownership, this no longer becomes the manager's meeting. It's not Cindy's meeting. It's not Jimmy's meeting. No, it becomes our meeting. It becomes the team meeting, and the team understand what we're trying to achieve in this session. And that is basically how you populate a meeting outline. I've left a template as part of the materials for the training, so if you do click over, you should be able to download it. I have an exercise for you for meeting outlines in the next section, so I will see you there. Thanks for watching.